Usyk versus Fury 2, the rematch. The first one was dramatic. Usyk handed a big loss to Fury, hit him with a big shot, hurt him, almost had him out of there. This is the anticipated rematch. Yeah, Fury walks out pretty much like Santa Claus walking out to Mariah Carey because his walkouts are always crazy and fun. He's a character. And then we had Usyk, who's also a character himself, but he walks out as like an actual warrior, and you're like, damn, I think Santa's about to get his ass beat. um, but it was a good fight. It was a lot closer than the first fight. I think there's a lot of people saying that it was a robbery. I think that might just be some fan bias. Um, Usyk beats him by decision, all unanimous decision, including the AI judge, which we'll talk about. Because they made a big old stink about we're gonna have an AI powered judge, and it's not gonna impact the decision, but we're gonna find out how we can fine tune this thing and see if it's accurate and maybe solve this judging problem by replacing them with robots instead of just replacing them with people who aren't corrupt. Um, but yeah, it was a great fight. Um, Going into this, uh, Fury put on like 20 pounds or something like that, 15 pounds. He weighed in at 281, I think it was. I should have this pulled up. Um, he outweighed him by like 25, 30 pounds or something crazy like that. Uh, yeah, Usyk weighed in, well, more than that. Usyk weighed in at 226. Fury weighed in at 281. So much bigger. And going into that, uh, I was like, okay, hey, shout out Chester. Thanks for joining. We're going to cover Usyk Fury for a bit, and then we'll skip over to One Friday Fights 92. Um, but yeah, going into this, I was like, well, the first fight, Fury, you never really know which Fury you're going to get. You're going to get the fleet footed, head movement, fighting on the outside, jabbing you with that weird rhythm, uh, Fury, or you're going to get that Kronk style like he did in the Wilder rematch where he just ran through him, or you can get old school Fury where he just hangs on people because he's so big. He's like 6'7" or something crazy like that, 280 pounds, and he really wears on guys in the clinch. So in this one, him weighing in at 281, and the first fight he was that fleet-footed Fury, and it cost him. He ended up. You can only do that for so long against a guy like Usyk. He can't slip everything, and he hits so hard, but it's in that southpaw stance. So you're like, that's kind of what cost him in the first fight, and because he did get cracked, and there was that big moment where Usyk had him hurt against the ropes, and that's kind of what it's kind of what hurt him in the first Wilder fight because that's how he fought Wilder the first time. And while he pretty much outclassed him for most of the fight, he got dropped a couple times, and that's what ended up making it a draw. Because you have to be, if you're going to fight like that, you have to be perfect the whole fight, and it's impossible to do that at this level. So okay, same thing got him in trouble in the first fight against Usyk as the same thing that got him in trouble against Wilder in their first fight. So what did he do in the response to Wilder was he got the Kronk style, he walked him down and just bulldozed him. Instead of fighting off the back foot, slipping all these punches, he just ran right through him. And he weighs in at 280 this time. You're like, okay, is that what he's going to do to Usyk? I didn't think so. I thought he was just going to be heavy clinch, hang on him, make him hold him up, tire him out, and then, try to outbox him that way, like he did a lot for the majority of his career. And he didn't really do that either. Uh, he did shore up a lot of the defense flaws that he had in the first fight. Um, Early on, I thought uh, instead of just moving around and slipping outside of his feet, he did a good job of keeping his feet underneath himself and shelling up. And his defense looked pretty good early on. Um, I thought he won the first 2 rounds. They were super, like, razor close rounds, but I thought he won the first 2 rounds. And then Usyk kind of started chipping away, going to the body a lot, which obviously you're going to go to the body against someone like Fury. He's so tall and he's so much bigger than you. And if someone is elusive with the head movement, yeah, you bang him to the body because you can't move the body like that. So he did a great job of going to the body of Fury. I thought he took rounds 3 and 4 back, so it was split after the first 4 rounds. Um, Momentum on Usyk's side, and then I thought Fury had a good round 5, like a really good round 5. That was like the best round of the fight at that point. Um, he cracked him a couple times. He wasn't throwing the uppercut that like he was in the first fight. The uppercut is good against the shorter fighter, and Usyk going to the body a lot and dipping a lot, and you see him hop down or load himself, feinting like that, ready to jump in, and he doesn't, and sometimes he does. That's a great weapon against that is the uppercut, but Fury wasn't really throwing it, and I'm assuming they thought, "Hey, we had so much success in that first fight with the uppercut. I bet you Usyk's gonna be game planning around that uppercut, so let's not give it to him until the second half of the fight, because then he'll be locked into how the fight is going, and he won't be thinking about the uppercut like they game planned against. Then we can catch him off guard halfway through the fight." And I think even Sugar Hill called for it in like round 6 or 7 or something like that. Finally, so maybe that was the game plan. Don't be too predictable and just go straight to the thing that had success in the first fight because it's a different fight now. Um, but round 5 was a big round for Fury, and then round 6, Usyk took it right back from him, and that's a big deal. You can't let somebody get momentum. Once the tide shifted, right? Fury steals, kinda edges out rounds 1 and 2, Usyk takes 3, then 4, and you're like, "Oh, no, is this gonna be the building of momentum for Usyk?" Fury changes it back at round 5, and you're like, "Oh, shit, that's gonna be hard to then." He already came back after round 2, 1 and 2. Can he come back from round 5? And he does. And at that point, it's really hard if you're Fury to steal the momentum back again. Momentum changes are not common in fighting, especially at the high level. Uh, well, I guess more so at the low level, but um, it's hard regardless, no matter what level you're at. Um, but Usyk did it at round 6. He took it back, and then you're like, "Oh shit, is Fury going to be able to rally behind this?" No, he wasn't, because after round 6, Usyk kinda started just gaining distance on him. He round 6, round 7, round 8, round 9. Actually, round 9, I might have given it to no, I didn't. I didn't give round 9 to Fury. It started getting closer in the last few rounds, and Fury did find that uppercut, but one of the big differences is Fury still was fighting on the outside. Usyk has he has tremendous pressure, and I would have liked to see Fury. It'd be interesting to know. I didn't watch any of the post-fight press conferences or anything like that, but um, I think the game plan could have been heavy clinch, hang on him, wear him out, and instead he still kind of fought on the outside, and that either was the game plan and fight on the outside with better defense instead of more solid defense, I should say, rather than slipping and using head movement as your primary defense. Uh, or it was Usyk that forced him to fight like that, and with his pressure said, "I'm not gonna let you come forward. I'm not taking a step back. I'm not gonna let you Kronk style me like you did Wilder in the second fight. I'm not gonna let you hang on me like you did in a lot of your previous career. I'm going to be taking it to you. Good luck." And maybe Fury was forced to fight, not necessarily, I guess, still on the back foot, but just on the retreat for a lot of the fight. And you see some of the things that did that and forced him to fight like that is Usyk going to the body so early and often, and so did Fury. Fury went to the body a lot too, um, partly because Usyk's defensive shell up top is so good. He's so defensively responsible. He doesn't really open himself up for anything crazy. And obviously, there's the Southpaw Orthodox matchup, which Fury fought a lot more Southpaw in this fight than he did in the previous fight. And something that does is takes away the rear hand when you're in the open stance matchup, right? If you're Usyk and you're southpaw, that big left hand, your rear power hand, there's a slot for it against an orthodox fighter because he doesn't have to get past the shoulder, um, the lead shoulder, that is. So by Fury going, and that's what hurt him in the first fight. So by Fury going southpaw pretty frequently in this fight, that closes up that lane for the big left hand of Usyk because now he has to get past that lead shoulder. If I'm southpaw, the punch is coming from this side. If I'm orthodox, it has all this real estate here, this open side of my body uh, to come through. And he took that away by going southpaw. Um, so, like I said, he was a lot more defensively responsible in this fight. The problem is he was stuck defending a lot of this fight. And when he would go, it was almost like it was because of a bait from Usyk. Usyk would open himself up to draw something from Fury. He wasn't there for the shot, and then he would counter with multiple punches. And that was like the big, if we're going to do the story of the fight, I think Usyk being first and last was the majority of this fight. Fury was throwing stuff out, but it wasn't landing. He was his. I would like to see the striking numbers, but his percentage must have been pretty low. His output was high, but his percentage landed was pretty low. Whereas Fury or Usyk, sorry, his output was also very high, but I think he had probably landed like half of his shots. Um, and part of that is going to the body a lot. You know, it's a lot easier to hit Fury to the body than it is up top. But with Fury shelling, you'd see Usyk go to the body, he'd shell, and then he'd counter Usyk's attack to the body, which is, traditionally a lot of the time, if you're throwing straight punches to the body, it's to draw out like a lead hook from your opponent as a counter, and then hey, if I go to the body, they're gonna hook me, and I'm gonna come up and counter that hook. And that's a lot of what Usyk was doing. He'd go to the body, Fury would throw the hook as a counter. Usyk, knowing he's throwing the hook, would then come back up and go to the head, or he'd go back to the body and then the head. There's a lot of times where he'd go body, body, head, you know, just punches and bunches. Whereas Fury was throwing, if he was throwing combinations, a lot of it was like two punch combinations. A lot of them were doubling up the same punch, which is sometimes really good, especially if you're trying to cover distance. That double jab, you can get someone to retreat. Usyk doesn't really take a step backwards though. Um, so I think a lot of the time it was just that volume from Usyk going to the body, going to the head, having like 4 or 5 punch combinations where Fury's just throwing a couple. It's just, it's not going to work, especially if it goes to decision. And towards the end of the fight, I think Fury probably knew, hey, I need to finish here. And he was a lot more aggressive. He's throwing the uppercut now, which was landing well a couple times. Um, I thought he edged out probably the last round, maybe the last 2 rounds. Um, I think I gave him the last round. I gave Fury rounds 1, 2, 5, and 12. I think 11 is probably arguable. A lot of close rounds in this fight. It was a pretty close fight. But yeah, unanimous decision for Usyk. So he beats him twice. So like I said, some people are calling robbery. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think it was a robbery at all. Um, But, yeah, and now they're talking they get in the post-fight interview, they got Dubois in there. Dubois beat, Anthony Joshua. Commentators are talking about Usyk potentially retiring because there's no one else for him to fight. I get it, he's done so many rematches, but that's kind of just the state of boxing, right? It'd be crazy if he retired. I would think that's stupid. Fury, I think they'll probably do the Anthony Joshua fight, um, which sucks because a lot of time in boxing they're starting to get better at it right now, but a lot of time in boxing, you get these high profile fights that just don't happen because there's so much politics and management does weird things. And, there was a point where we could have done Fury Joshua and it would have been insane. Absolutely insane. When Fury came back and he beat Wilder, or well, he didn't beat him. It was a draw, right? Um, and Man, that was the time. And Fury won that fight. I thought that was actually a robbery, the first Wilder fight. I see how they got to a draw, but I thought that was dumb. I thought it was clearly just, hey, let's make this a draw so we can capitalize on this crazy fight, and we'll have a second one. And then they ended up having a third one, which is also very unnecessary, but ended up being the best out of all of them. Um, but that was when the lightning in a bottle, Fury versus Anthony Joshua, would have been absolutely insane because it was Fury coming back from his hiatus. He looked like he put a masterclass on Wilder despite getting knocked down, but then he got up from that knockdown, and that was the time. He would have unified all the belts with Joshua, and now we're going to be getting it where Joshua's coming off the losses to Usyk. He's lost his belts. Yeah, he beat Francis Ngannou, but okay. Fury, he has like 3 losses now. It's just not as big as it could have been, and that's kind of the history of boxing this last couple decades where we get Mayweather Pacquiao finally, and they're like old dudes. Shout out Blunderbub. Third Muay Thai / kickboxing personal training done, and I am fucking tired, dude. It takes it out of you, huh? It's like the most tiring thing in the absolute world. But yeah, that was Usyk versus Fury 2. Let us know how y'all had it. I think, like I said, some people are saying this is a robbery. They thought Fury won this fight. I think maybe commentary had something to do with that. And then, yeah, it's just I thought it was very clear Usyk, and I thought, going into the decision, I was like, man, if boxing fucks this up and they somehow give it to Fury or they make it a draw so that they can do a third fight, I thought for sure that was happening as they were reading the decision. But then all three gave it to Usyk. I think I think all of them gave Fury one more round than I did, but they got the decision right. And then the AI judge got it right, but uh, let me pull up what the AI judge got because they scored like 2 10-10 rounds or something. They're just like, what the fuck, dude? That's gonna need some tweaking, huh? I know some people are like super stoked on 10-10 rounds and they think they should be given more often. Uh, I don't know. I think 10-8 maybe should be more, you know, I think 10-8 rounds should be more common than um 10-10 rounds. Boxing, it's a little different, but with boxing, you get 12 rounds. You can have some of those big gaps in MMA or something when it's 3 rounds or 5 rounds, and you get one 10-8 round. It really throws the entire thing. Boxing, you can get away with it a little bit. Let's see. Okay, we got the so first round 10-10, last round 10-10. Uh, it had it 118 to 112 Usyk. So at least it got the opponent right, which ultimately I guess that's what matters. I guess it doesn't really matter the scorecards at the end of the day. All that really matters is the right person gets the decision. Shout out Genevieve says, I'm up, I'm awake. I got too used to you doing a later time slot. Yeah, we've been all over the place. It's hard with the holiday season just with our jobs. But as we get into next year, we'll get more back into the this time slot, 9 a.m. Pacific. I think it's better. It's closer to the event. We get the whole day after. And then shout out Anonymous for joining. AI judging is interesting. I wonder if it can learn to judge MMA and Muay Thai. I think yeah, they didn't really talk about how at least not from what I saw, they didn't talk about um, how it's calculating things. Like I said, it got the decision right. I don't know if it's just doing the numbers. If it's just the numbers, then like that's not going to work. Um, They'll have to put weight into things like control with MMA. I think Muay Thai it'll probably have a little bit of an easier time just because it's closer to boxing. Once you get grappling in the mix, it's kind of it gets weird. It's because how do you favor it? Top control doesn't necessarily mean you're winning if the guy on bottom is throwing up submissions and things like that. At least in my opinion, some judges have that differently. But like I don't get how it'll be able to score effective grappling. Uh, But I guess we'll see. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure some organization will do it sooner rather than later, especially with this on such a high profile event. Um, I don't know what this weird image is. The fourth judge AI scorecard right here. Uh, like, what the fuck is that? Is that just like some AI generated dude? And that's like the guy that's supposed to be, that's the AI judge? Like, what are we doing with that? Just make him like a robot or something. Give me Sonny from iRobot. Is that his name? Alan Tudyk's character? Blunderbub says PFL already has it. Uh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. PFL. I usually watch PFL on mute if I'm being honest, and then I just watch the fight, and I don't really care about anything else because there's so much of it that it's like, oh, fight's happening. I'll tune in. As soon as the fight stops, I'm looking at something else because yeah, I don't like that production whatsoever. Um, but yeah, that was Fury versus Usyk 2. I think all judges got it right, including that weird fucking image of looks like Kyle Rittenhouse or something. I don't know what they're doing with that. But yes, that is Fury versus Usyk 2.
Hey everybody, Romero and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.